Alright guys, we're getting a little more work done on the Mercedes 300 SL from Entex. And I'm just going to show you guys how I turned this with all of these mold lines into this. Perfectly smooth and just about ready for primer. Now this is the way that I like to do this, which just kind of works for me. Now, you see, I've taken a Sharpie and I've darkened in some of the lines so I'll know where I have to do the most amount of work. The mold lines in this were really ugly on the back of this thing. So, first thing I like to do is I take my hobby knife or a mold line remover. And I'll just start going across the mold lines to scrape them off the body before I start with the sandpaper. This is a Citadel tool, which has all sorts of different angles and cuts to let you get to all sorts of different areas on the model, which works really well. But you could do pretty much the same thing with a hobby knife. And this is just to get off the heaviest part of these mold lines. It doesn't take the place of sanding because we're still going to have to sand in order to clean all of this up. But it does speed things up quite a bit so that you can get rid of all of the excess before you start sanding. Alright, then I'm going to take a coarse 240 grit. So most of the times you don't have to go with such a heavy grit, but we're going to do that just to speed things up a little bit, as it's going to help us to smooth out this entire area here, which is going to need quite a bit of cleaning up even after we do our sanding. Now, once you've gotten it to where you think it looks right, what I like to do is I go in with some finer grit sanding sticks or sanding sponges. In this case, I'm going to use the sticks, and I'm going to go over it and try and smooth out everything that I've just done to try and minimize the scratches on the body. As this is going to help to smooth out the plastic. And as you're doing it, just run your finger over it, and you'll start to feel the smoothness coming back to the plastic. Then as you get progressively finer on your sanding, you'll actually start to polish the plastic out and bring some of the shine back to the plastic. And the more you get the plastic to polish out, the smoother your surface is going to be. And that's really going to help you when it comes to painting. Now, I still haven't decided what color this is going to be. The Mercedes is going to be kind of leaning toward red, but I haven't really made up my mind yet. Now we go to our finest grit. Is this our finest? Yes, I think this is. Yes, it is. That we're going to use on the bare plastic. And this is where you're really going to start to polish it out, and you'll be able to see if it's as smooth as you want it, or if you're going to have to do a little more sanding work. Now you don't have to go nuts with polishing out the plastic, because you don't want, you're not trying to bring it back to the original luster of the plastic. You just want it clean enough so that you can see whether any more work is going to be needed. And I can see where I'm going to have to still do a little bit more work. Right there, you can still see a bit of an imprint of where the mold line used to be here. And with the body on this car, with the curves on this body, we really want to get it as smooth as possible. Okay guys, now take a look at the difference. Now we have a nice smooth rear end on this car.
Nice ass. Thanks a lot.
All of those mold lines are gone. I might have to do a little more work there. Once I hit it with a bit of primer, we're going to see how much work it's going to be left to do. Now we'll have to file down the edges here, clean up this here, clean up this door edge, and then start working on all of our low spots in the body. So we'll be back after we've done all of the body repairs. Alright guys, now that we've cleaned up the majority of the body, we still have to do some work here on the hood. But we're going to be putting some primer on there and seeing exactly how much is going to show through and how much more we have to repair. What I started doing was I took the chassis and I checked it against the body. And I saw that this portion of the chassis, this was all one piece. My cuts didn't come out as smooth as I had hoped, but we can always clean that up later. So that's not a big deal. But this was all the chassis in one piece, where the lower lip of the front end was attached to the chassis. Now when I measured them together, doing a little trial fit, this is where the lower end fit on the body. I wasn't really happy with that. I mean, I know it is an old vintage kit, and they weren't really known for being perfectly detailed, but I think we can do something about this. So I cut the leading edge off of the chassis, and I'm going to glue that in there, get some styrene, get some filler pieces in here, and hopefully we can make this whole front end one solid piece like on the real car. Beauty of the Tamiya cement is that as it melts it, you can kind of make it conform to what you want as it starts to really soften the plastic up. Now that I'm thinking about it, I might have been better off just making this part as opposed to using the kit supplied part. But let's see how we do.
Many hours later.
Alright guys, now after an untold number of hours sanding, this is what we have. Our entire front clip all molded together as one part. Now you can see where I put the extra styrene pieces. I put a piece at the end here just to give it a finished look. Now one of the things I was discovering while I was doing this is that there are quite a few issues with the body that are not really visible when you're first starting this kit. One being that the wheel well openings are not even from side to side, which I didn't even notice until I put the styrene strip at the end to finish off the lower valance of the body here. As you can see, one fender ends quite a bit, well, not quite a bit, but a bit further forward than the other one. So there are actually two different lengths for the wheel well openings. So shouldn't be, hopefully, not too noticeable when the model is done. But yeah, that's one of the issues with the body that you don't really notice unless you do something wacky like what I just did. So I have everything sealed up. Now the point is to put some primer on it, and we'll see how much more work needs to be done after everything is sealed up in one color. Okay guys, before we get to the paint booth, I had forgotten that there were quite a few sink marks in the hood, so I put a little bit of my Mr. Dissolved putty. This stuff works really great. It is a filler, a putty filler, but it's very, very liquidy. It's nowhere near as solid. It is a liquid. It's a very thick liquid, and basically you just fill the area you want to cover and fill in. You just cover it with the Mr. Dissolve putty, let it dry. It is a lacquer-based, solvent-based putty, and you just brush it on, let it dry, and then do your sanding to your heart's content till you get what you want. So the stuff works really great. I've got it on several areas of the hood here, so I have got to let that sit and cure. Then I can sand it down, and hopefully I can take care of those sink marks in the hood. And that, I think, oh, no, I just found a couple of mold lines that I didn't get yet. So I'm going to have to do those in the front also. So while that is curing, I decided to start working on the chassis. And the chassis, as I stated before, is a very simplified version of the Mercedes-Benz SL chassis, but it's got injection pin marks everywhere. I've already taken 1, 2, 3 of them out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more to go. They are everywhere. I am going to leave the script there that says approved and authorized by Mercedes-Benz, Stuttgart, Germany, because I just think that's kind of cool there. So that's staying. But in the meantime, I'm going to be getting rid of the rest of the injection pin marks, and I figure I'll just get the chassis ready for priming, so I can just do the body and the chassis at the same time. Okay guys, we're going to talk about removing all the injection pin marks on this chassis. In the process of removing them, some of them were outies and some were innies, meaning that some extended above the chassis floor and some went recessed into it. So I shaved off as much as I could of the ones that I could remove without doing any damage to the chassis, but there were quite a few of them that were recessed into the floor, such as the two on the rear axle, the two on the front. This is not an all-wheel drive car, so I don't even know what that would be, but this front subframe area, and one that was under here. So what I decided to do was, since I couldn't just go digging into it and ripping up the floor, and I didn't think filling it would be sufficient, I decided that I would just add some detail, as we have clamps over the rear differential. We have a piece of the floor which could be just a part of the stamped steel floor, and I guess these two, when they're painted, you won't even notice that they're there. And this is going to save us from digging into the chassis, and dress up the underside just a little bit, because it is kind of plain and could use some more details. So that is how I hid some of the really bad injection pin marks. So guys, that is where I'm going to end this video, and that's going to end the preparation of the chassis for paint, or for priming first. And then we're going to go back and delve into this under panel here that I attached, and see if we have to do any more work once we prime it. As long as all the seam marks are gone, then I'll be good to go as far as getting ready for paint. Now you can see how the chassis just slots in right to the end of where the under panel is, so that you won't even know that that this piece was cut off of the chassis. So I think that's going to look really good, and really fills out our front end there and gives us a nice smooth look. I was a little concerned about how this would meet here, but the filler piece that I put here covers over the jagged cut on the chassis there, and hides it really nicely. So there you go, guys. That's the front end. It's going to be a little more sanding here, and then we'll be ready for the paint booth. So like I said, I'm going to end it here, and when we come back, we'll be in the paint booth with our vintage build of the Entex Mercedes-Benz 300 SL. I'll see you on the next one.